Why is Israel, a country at war, consistently rated one of the happiest countries on earth?
Before we even had the chance to order drinks, bro, a siren goes off. Rockets coming from Yemen. We all have to evacuate dinner and we have to go underground to the bomb shelter. This is just a typical day living in Israel. You don't know if you're going to be attacked by Lebanon, Yemen, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah.
Once in the past, America used to say, we don't negotiate with terrorists. And look where we are now.
That is the only time that Jewish people are truly vulnerable, is when we're operating from fear, when we forget about our Jewish identity, when we tuck in our Star of David.
There's a saying in Israel, Hakol Barosh.
Everything's
in your head. Everything.
How the left in the woke agenda, their tactic is that they accuse the other side of doing the exact thing that they're guilty of. They call Trump Hitler. They call Charlie Kirk a fascist.
One of the most well-known phrases amongst Jews is lo lefached klal. Do not be afraid at all. One of the most important things is not to be afraid at all.
What is up? Welcome back to the Jeremy Awakens Podcast. Today, we got a very special man in the building. We got my boy, Sammy Yahood. And Sammy is a powerful voice for truth, courage, and Jewish pride. Sammy is an outspoken advocate for Israel and the Jewish people. He's originally from England, and he made Aliyah to Israel. And he's been on the front lines of the fight against anti-Semitism, wokeism, and the radical ideologies that are poisoning our culture today. Sammy is all about peace through strength. And this episode might trigger some people. It might be a little controversial, but it is going to be a good one.
That's it.
Sammy, welcome to the pod, my guy.
Thank you, my friend. If you don't say anything that doesn't upset someone, then you're not saying anything worth saying, you know?
Yeah.
So peace through strength. Let's go.
Yeah. Tell us, in your words, what does peace through strength mean?
Oh, it's a deep one. It's deeper than it seems on the surface. I actually debated this with a rabbi while I was teaching him Krav Maga just a few weeks ago. It was an interesting conversation because strength can mean so many things, right?
Yeah.
Strength can mean your biceps. Strength can mean how many guns you have, how many F-16s, you know? But it also means how well you can control your emotions, how well you can control your focus, all of these things. And I'm a strong believer, as someone with ADHD and as someone who struggles with focus and is very impulsive, that strength is mental more than it is physical. But also that's almost it's a paradox, because I don't believe you can have true mental strength without the physical strength. And this is obviously on a personal level. We can talk on a state level soon. And I think Israel embodies peace through strength as a nation. But there's a famous quote which I really love to tout, and that is, your kindness is not a virtue unless you are capable of courage. And what does that mean? Because kindness is a great thing if you're capable of being kind. But if it's your only option, it's no use when you encounter Islamic Jihad or the murderous woke left or someone who's come to kill you. You can't negotiate with someone who's come to kill you, right? So strength is necessary and courage is necessary to make kindness and goodness a virtue. Because if kindness and goodness is your only option, the moment you encounter evil, it's redundant. So strength has to come first. Once in the past, America used to say, we don't negotiate with terrorists, right? And look where we are now. We're negotiating with people and trying to have discourse with people who have come to kill us. So peace through strength, strength first, then we can, physical strength first, then we can have a strong mind. Military strength first, and then we can fly to Haiti and Turkey, our enemy, and help them out with their earthquake. You know?
Yeah.
Israel doesn't have peace from flying to Turkey and helping them with their earthquake. Yeah. Turkey will still threaten to bomb Israel.
It's
a crazy world, man.
This is again what a majority of people don't understand. Like the most surprising thing to me about October 7th wasn't actually October 7th. We know what Hamas is. The fact that they were able to infiltrate and commit such a massive attack is very alarming, considering that Israel has the best security in the world. So that is a little surprising that they were able to do something at such a large scale. But for me, it was the aftermath, October 8th. Zero kindness, zero compassion for Israel. Having 1,200 civilians brutally slaughtered, raped, and murdered was completely justified and even being celebrated. And these people who are yelling, "Free Palestine," in the streets, who think they're actually advocating for the Palestinian people, don't understand that you can't negotiate peace with people that dedicate their life to murdering you. So this whole idea of a ceasefire and a two-state solution, okay, that sounds great on the outside, but who's going to rule the Palestinian state? Hamas? The Palestinian Authority? Like, both support terrorism. Their whole lives are dedicated to murdering the Jews. So it's like, how can you even have a rational conversation with someone that is dedicating their entire existence to eliminating you?
Well, I think it says a lot about where Western society has come. We've got so comfortable that we think we can have this discussion and maybe we can litigate our way out of situations, like you said, against people who have come to kill us. No amount of paperwork, no amount of political petition, no amount of discourse is going to work against these enemies. They're enemies. They're not just people with opposing opinions. They are enemies who want to kill us, whether it's the socialists or the Islamists. The Red-Green Alliance, you might be aware of it. It's this funny thing where they come together. It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They come together against the greatest evil in the world, free society, right?
Well, it's crazy too how, like, you know, how the left in the woke agenda, their tactic is that they accuse the other side of doing the exact thing that they're guilty of, right? They call Trump Hitler. They call Charlie Kirk a fascist.
What's a fascist?
And then they eliminate said person. They murder him for having a difference in opinions. When in reality, he was just trying to have open conversations. And he was trying to bridge the gap between these two sides to create more conversation and harmony. And it's the same thing with people that are accusing Israel of committing a genocide.
That's it.
Right? Because what does Hamas's charter say? It is genocidal. As well as
they're proud of it.
As well as all of the Islamic radical regimes. They're all genocidal. Their whole goal in life's mission is to eliminate the Jewish people and wipe out Israel. If Israel wanted to commit a genocide, they could have easily done so on October 8th. They could have flattened Gaza and eliminated the 2 million people, but Israel actually values human life. And that's not to say that every single thing that has happened has been done with the perfect accuracy and intention. No, all governments make mistakes, right? But to try to create this moral equivalency between, like, Hamas and the IDF and what Israel's doing is just absolutely nonsensical. And I think it goes back to what you were saying.
Well, there's a term for what you're describing in what we're seeing in, like, education and politics and this moral confusion. It's ideological subversion. They literally take the reality and flip it on its head and tell you you're crazy for disagreeing. It comes from the Soviet Union. It comes from the communists. When they went to the UN, I think it was in 1975, and they said, Zionism is racism. Yeah, Zionism is literally the opposite of racism. It's the belief that Jews have the right to self-determine in their ancestral homeland, where Jews are from. And they call it racism. That's the start for me of all of this. And it just laid the foundations for building this fake identity. It's nothing more, it's nothing less, called Palestinian. The only time anything's been ever called Palestinian is under the British mandate of Palestine. The Jews were Palestinians. So there's no ethnicity. They are Arabs. They are people that have resided in this land, but it's been a colony for 3,000 years since it was last a Jewish state. So it's crazy, but the ideological subversion is seen everywhere.
Yeah.
Hamas openly want to commit genocide. No, the Jews are committing genocide. What's another great example in society? The fascism one.
Yeah.
A fascist is someone who suppresses and oppresses those that disagree with them. The woke left call you a Nazi or a fascist or a racist or any of these buzzwords the moment you disagree with them, and they cancel you. They ostracize you from any part of society, whether it's the workplace or the social circles. That is fascism.
And by the way, it's based on 100% emotions and zero facts. That's why when you try to have a conversation, like a civil conversation with someone who sees the world differently, who's on the other side, right? They'll just go straight to name calling. You're a fucking Jew. You're a Zionist pig. How can you support murdering babies? Like, they're so emotional and zero rational. Like, and it's so obvious, bro. And we were talking about this before we started recording with like the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. Like, any rational human being who has a beating heart would feel massive amounts of compassion and empathy for his wife, for his 2 young daughters, for this 31-year-old man who was a strong believer in God, who was making a massive positive impact in the world, even if you disagree with his views. This man was never encouraging violence or encouraging hate.
But words of violence, remember that, Jeremy, right?
It goes back to what we're told in school, like sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Whatever the saying goes, but it's crazy, and it just shines a very bright light on the divisiveness in our country and in our society, where there's people that are, and it's not just one person, bro, there's maybe millions of people in America
easily
that were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death and assassination. Like, you must be in such a dark place in your life if you are genuinely happy. The highlight of your day is watching another man get assassinated in front of his wife and young girls. Like, you are so sick in your soul. Those are the people that need the most healing. And that's why it always comes down to like, hurt people hurt people. Like,
yeah, that's it.
If you're a broken person and you never do the inner work, you're constantly going to actually feed off of other people's pain. And it's heartbreaking to see that, bro. Like, I've never felt more disgusted by what's happening in America, my home country. Like, as someone who's such a proud American, to see what's happening in the streets is shocking.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. And, you know, obviously it's these dark moments that usually lead to this big transformation in society and cultural. Like, I'm hoping now that a lot of people are aware of the evil forces that exist in this world and they're not complacent.
Well, I think it's a very good sign of where we are in mentally in Western society. And this is one of the questions, I've got a question for you. This is one of the questions I like to open my speeches with. And it's essentially, why is Israel, a country at war, consistently rated one of the happiest countries on earth? One of the happiest countries on earth is Israel. I think it's second the last time they did a large poll.
Behind Lithuania, right? Like,
maybe Finland or one of those countries.
Below the age of 30, yeah.
Why? Why do you think?
Listen, I think when you're living in Israel, you're forced to appreciate every single day. I was literally out to dinner last night. Before we even had the chance to order drinks, bro, a siren goes off. Rockets coming from Yemen. We all have to evacuate dinner and we have to go underground to the bomb shelter. This is just a typical day living in Israel. You don't know if you're going to be attacked by Lebanon, Yemen, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah. Like, so naturally, that creates this subconscious level of gratitude for just having another opportunity at life. Like,
that's it.
Oh my gosh, I get to breathe today. I get to live today.
That is it. We send our children to the borders to protect our livelihoods. Yeah, to protect our lives and to protect the land where we are from. We have such deep roots here. So we really appreciate every minute of every day. We really live. There's a phrase in Israel, we work to live, but in England or America, for example, we live to work. They're so in New York and in London, where I'm from, they're so focused on their work life. It's like a rat race, we describe it. It's so toxic. And people have no perspective of life. Their priorities of life are their university degree, their mortgage, and their pension. It's such a crazy societal bubble that we've created for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's gratitude. It's exactly that's it. That societal bubble doesn't allow us or doesn't facilitate the opportunity to build this gratitude that, like, when you walk out in nature barefoot and you understand how small you are and how much of a blessing it is to be on this earth, whether you believe in God or not. It's so raw when you do that. And most people in London have never done that. Just go out in nature and go barefoot and stare across the horizon and understand how little you are and how grateful you must be just to exist. And we have that constant reminder because we have that constant existential threat, right? Despite the PTSD and the anxiety from the sirens, we are one of the happiest places on earth. I believe the happiest place on earth because we have that reminder. And it goes back to peace through strength.
Yeah.
We always have to stay ready, and we're reminded what happens when we don't stay ready. We have the biggest massacre of Jews in a day since the Holocaust. When we focus on these little things like internal political division and all these insignificant things compared to your heart beating another beat.
I think, yeah.
Which America and Britain and Europe, they don't have. I think that's why a lot of the Jews have left France, because they were occupied by the Nazis. It's not because the French situation with Islam and all this craziness is worse than in England or Canada, but it's because they've been occupied. Their grandparents know what it was like.
Yeah.
In England, they don't.
Yeah. It's such a good point. And I also think because of that, because Israelis have this fragility of life, like every day is truly a blessing, you don't waste energy stressing about insignificant shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about all of the unnecessary things that people, including myself, by the way, when I'm in Miami, like, just stress. Oh, fuck, my Uber canceled on me. Oh my gosh, like, they don't have almond milk. I'm going to have to settle for oat milk with my latte. It's like Americans obsess about the stupidest shit, and they allow these like little problems to ruin their day. In Israel, it's like, we have way bigger things to worry about,
That's
bro.
it, problems.
Exactly.
What's anxiety? It's your brain creating problems.
Yeah.
When you don't have physical stress or the stress of having to hunt for your next meal or carry water on your head in a bucket for 2 miles, which is millions and millions, if not billions of people's reality on this earth in 2025.
Yeah.
If you don't have that perspective, if you don't have that gratitude, or you don't have that reality, we're going to be miserable because you can't appreciate the sunny days without the rain. You can't appreciate your $2,000 couch without going for a run.
Exactly.
Like we have lost all perspective for what life is about, and it's creating these mental health issues. And I would personally describe them as mental health issues, but they are disguised as political movements.
Yeah.
It's creating this insanity, which we are fighting in a political way, which I believe is the totally wrong way to go about it. It says a lot about even the people who have morals, like myself and yours, and conservatism, people who believe in free society and freedom of speech and freedom of religious belief and rights for women. We're fighting it as if it's this discussion. But like we said, it's people who want to destroy our societies and people who want our societies to survive. There's two parties. It's not a Democrat versus Republican anymore, because it used to be the Democrats want our freedom to continue.
Yeah.
We see in England, we have the Labour Party, which is like the Democrats of England. They advertise as if they're for the people. We're censoring on social media to protect you from anxiety. I won't go back because I'm worried about being arrested at the airport for what I've said about illegal migration and Islam. The UK government is now tyrannical.
Yeah.
The UK is the home, the origin of freedom of speech.
And I
And
believe
it gets taken away like that.
I'm pretty sure as of last year, the most popular name in England is Muhammad.
For a long time.
And
For a few years now.
And we see what's happening as radical Islam takes over Western society. They try to implement Sharia law in some of these places. And as an American, I'm like, guys, watch what's happening in the UK. Watch what's happening in France. Like, we already know how this is playing out. And it's sad, bro. It's sad to see. And thank goodness that British people, some of them are finally fighting back to restore their glory, like to restore their safety. For example, like, and this is just like the paradox that we live in our society, right? You know, this terrible thing that happens, and it's coming back to like England, because I know I think for 2 straight weeks, there's multiple incidents of imported Muslim raping an underage girl. Like literally multiple cases for 2 weeks straight. Pakistani guys, Afghani guys, wherever, right? And this doesn't make mainstream media news, which is absolutely absurd. And then a couple weeks ago, we have this girl who is living in America, in North Carolina, who came here from Ukraine. She gets viciously stabbed to death on the train by a black man who was incarcerated multiple times, who should be in prison, right? And not that many people are talking about this on a mainstream level. And my head goes to a place of like, wow, what if that was an African-American girl and a crazy white killer who did the same exact thing, bro? There would be millions of people in the street right now, similar to George Floyd. We have this double standard, and it's really crippling our society. Like, we need to stop blaming things on race and all of these things, bro. Like, it's crazy. The level of victimization in our society, I think, is also the root cause, right? We have men. When it comes to genders, this is another thing. I don't know if it's the same in the UK, by the way, right? You fill out a form in America, and there's like 6 different options for gender. And it's like, listen, bro, are you ready to feel limitless in 2025? I'm talking limitless physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, financially. This is your sign to try out microdosing for 30 days. We have a very special opportunity for podcast listeners. You can get started for only $222. This includes the medicine being shipped to you, the highest quality, fair trade, organic, sustainably sourced microdoses in the world at your doorstep. And you also get access to live group coaching calls with me, our private community. This is your sign to take ownership of your life in 2025. If you're ready, hit the link in the description, and I can't wait to see you on the inside. You fill out a form in America, and there's like 6 different options for gender. And it's like, listen, bro, I'll say there's 3 genders. There's men, there's women, and then there's the severely mentally ill, which are these people who are part of the transgender movement. Like, think of all these people committing these heinous crimes, these school shootings. Bro, they are hurting. They are so mentally ill. All of these people on the woke left, dyeing their hair purple, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Bro, these people are mentally ill. That is the root cause. We need to actually get back to like, yo, how can we help the children of our country so they don't grow up into that? It's fucking disgusting. It's insane. And like, yeah, I mean, I'll throw it back to you. I don't want to keep going on a rant.
Jeremy, you said we're going to go in today. We're going to go in.
We're going in. We're going in. And what do you think is the root cause for this also? Because we talked before the air about like, in the last 20 years alone, Qatar has contributed tens of billions of dollars to universities in America. And obviously, that is aligning with their agenda to infiltrate this radical Islamic socialist agenda into American children. And so many of them are falling into that trap.
So I love that you've led the conversation here, because it's all one thing. The climate, the transgenderism, the Palestine, the racism, they're all the same thing. The racism is a big one. Like I said, for me, it started in 1975 with Zionism is racism when it comes to Israel, because that doesn't just benefit the socialist ideas infiltrating the West, that also benefits the Islamists, right? That red-green alliance, the red being the socialists, the green being the Islamists. And they're friends for convenience. because they both believe in a submission of the masses, the tyrannical rule, the lack of freedom of anything, movement, beliefs, religion, anything, women, gays, etc. We have been infiltrated for decades by essentially socialist ideology, calculated. And that's what I described earlier, the ideological subversion. It's been a calculated effort by our enemies. We were told the Cold War ended in 1991, and all of a sudden, no one hates us anymore. We'll just go about our lives like we're living in fairyland. Because we've created fairyland existences for ourselves in California, in London, these beautiful existences with so much abundance and luxury. It puts blinders up. We can't identify threats to our existence and our morals and our values. So the racism thing, and like, for example, the British are a really good example, because the British are the slave owners. There's people saying I'm not proud to be British. It's now, there's been this movement recently of people hanging British flags everywhere. And it's amazing because people are starting to wake up to it. I'm not sure it's enough, but they're starting to show pride in being British again. How is it an act of defiance to wave a British flag in Britain? That's how far it's got. Yeah? So we're told that Britain is racist because they're slave owners, da. Did you know the Brits not only pioneered the end of the slave trade, but they lost tens of thousands of men in combat fighting to stop slave trade? Didn't know that.
Well, it's the facts again.
There you go. But when facts are not convenient to emotions, as you said, they are cut out.
And it's very similar to, again, what's been happening in America the last decade since Trump came into office, and this whole MAGA, like make America great again. What's so bad about that? Like what is bad? We should all align and support with that message. People wearing hats or waving American flags, getting called racist. This is America. I'm going to wave my own country's flag, right? If you don't like that, then fucking leave. Go to the countries that you are supporting and celebrating. Go to Palestine. See how you're treated.
You guys have got a much deeper rooted patriotism than Britain. Ours has been beaten out of us for decades. Thankfully, we still see American flags waving everywhere. And I'm hoping this movement builds in the UK. I'm really hoping. And I'm doing my best to speak as unabashedly and unapologetically as possible from afar. I love Britain, but I won't return because people are getting, even non-British citizens are being arrested at the airport for things they've said on social media. I won't go back. I'll just ramp up the things that I'm saying and speak what I know. So with this madness, the racism thing, the climate thing, all of these ideas, transgenderism, it's all socialism. If you know anything about socialism, it's this utopian ideology that we can get to perfection. Equality. When people say equality between men and women, what does equal mean? It means the same. Men and women are not the same. They have their unique roles. One can give birth, one can't.
Wait. Did you see? They actually have an emoji on the iPhone that's a pregnant man.
Oh, I have seen that. But thank you so much for reminding me. So people, first of all, they're trying to destroy that construct.
The family dynamic.
There's I believe there's roughly 3,000 species of mammals, and less than 2% of those have some sort of male-female parent partnership. So what we have is clearly evolutionarily a special and well-engineered and designed thing. And they're trying to destroy, even that they're trying to destroy. But that's just evidence for the fact that this is an external ideology which is set on the destruction of our societies. It's never been about equality. It's about destroying our perception of reality, of truth, and therefore of an enemy of a friend. So people say end racism, end violence against women. Neither of those two things are possible. We can reduce them, but we're tribal beings as nature. If I'm a Jamaican mother, I want my Jamaican son to marry a Jamaican woman. If I'm a Jewish mother, I want my Jewish son to marry a Jewish woman. That's not discrimination. That's nature. We are tribal beings. We're animals. And we have almost become too intelligent for our own good. We've certainly invented things that are too intelligent for our own good. But that's another discussion. These ideas of end racism, it's socialism. It's utopian ideology. You can't end racism for the reasons I've just mentioned. You can't end violence against women because there will always be bad people in the world. Always. If there's bad parents, there's bad people. End of story. But then they want to do both at the same time. So let's end racism. Therefore, all of our borders must be open because not only are we guilty for all of the slave trade ever, but it's a terrible thing to be white for all the reasons I've just mentioned. So we must have everyone else come in and create this funny olive skin colored reality where there's no borders anywhere and that just everyone's happy-go-lucky, like walking around in fairyland sort of thing. What happens is that since the year 2000, rape in England has gone up, Britain has gone up by 800%. Yeah? So-called feminists are pro the importation of an ideology which believes it is acceptable, at the very least, encouraged to rape in order to desecrate the children of non-believers. It is encouraged in Islam to desecrate the children of non-believers. Need I say more?
I'm also wondering, where are the peaceful Muslims at? Because there's 8 billion people in the world, right? 2 billion of them are Muslims. 25% of the world's population is Muslim, right? And I'd like to think that there's a lot of Muslims that are very peaceful, that don't hate the Jewish people, that just want to live a happy, peaceful, successful existence for them and their families. But we're not hearing enough of their voices. With all of this radical Islamic narrative that's taken over the world, where are the peaceful Muslims at actually speaking truth, saying, hey, I don't support that. I don't support the destruction and murder of everyone who doesn't believe exactly what we believe in. Where are those people at? The feminist movement, one of the most pathetic social justice movements in the world. The feminist movement, when you see a biological man competing in women's sports, stealing a gold medal from a biological woman who's trained her whole life to be in that position. Where are the feminists at saying this is unjust, this is wrong? That's not a woman. She should not be competing with a woman.
We're being laughed at. Not only were they competing, but they were boxing. We're being laughed at. And not only were they boxing, and not only were they not a woman from Algeria, an Islamic state. This would... No, this...
And by the way, if you spoke about this and you said like, yo, is anyone seeing this? This is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. How is no one speaking up for this poor girl who just got brutally defeated by a man? No. You're a misogynist, or what's the word when you fear
transphobic.
Transphobic. And by the way, the two things you talked about, right? Women's rights and racism. Okay. If you support putting an end to those things, if you support more freedom and rights for women and an end to racism, then you would naturally align yourself with the values of Israel. Because if you actually came to Israel, you would see that there's tens of thousands of Black people from all sorts of nations in Africa. We have a bunch of Sudanese people. They're not Jewish, by the way, and they're living such an amazing life here. The women here have all the freedom, all the rights in the world. The LGBTQ community. Guess what? Tel Aviv is home to one of the biggest gay pride parades in the world. Oh, by the way, it's also the only gay pride parade in the Middle East. So if you support freedom for women, freedom of all races, freedom for the LGBTQ community, then you would naturally support Israel. Yet we're seeing all of these trans people wearing purple hair, wearing their little Free Palestine shirts, saying Free Palestine, like, yes, yes, yes. And I've said it many times, like, I'm happy to pay for any of their one-way ticket to Palestine, just so they can see how free life really is there.
Yeah, it's just this gross level of comfort in the West that we've created, which is a great thing, but it makes you lose perspective and therefore lose gratitude for what we have. So these people with these transgenders or these radical liberals or wokeists, they just don't have an idea what other cultures look like. They don't understand that you can't just have open borders and expect the safety of women to be preserved. And all of these things you've just mentioned. But let me get back to your question. Where are the peaceful Muslims? I had to look at the camera for that. Because what does the word Islam mean?
I don't know.
It means submission. First of all, that's immediately, I want out. Submission? It means submission to the will of God. The word Islam. So the whole idea is submission. So even if there were Muslims that believe in peace with the Jews, which there are, and there are plenty of them, millions, I'm sure, of Muslims that couldn't give a crap about Israel, about Palestine. They don't care about conflict. They just want to live their life in peace and eat their baklava, like we love here too, and eat their falafel. It's just, but the word is submission. The whole construct, the whole concept is submission. If there wasn't a Muslim that spoke out, they better watch their back. If there was a Muslim that spoke for peace with the Jews, when in the Quran it says Al-Yahud this, Al-Yahud that, there's no possibility for it. The whole point of Islam is to conquer anywhere that does not believe in Islam. They split in Islamic law, they split the world into two. You have the House of Islam and the House of War. Anywhere that is controlled by Sharia law is the House of Islam. Anywhere that's not controlled by Sharia law is the House of War. And we're so stupid.
That's so scary, bro.
We're inviting them in. We're inviting them in.
Yeah, because we're scared. We're scared to speak out because we don't want to be called an Islamophobe.
But why? It goes before the fear. We're not afraid of these people if we're proud Brits with an understanding that we have the morality on our side. We believe in this. Some of it's utopian if it gets taken too far, but we believe in women's rights. We believe in gay rights. We believe in freedom of speech. These ideologies do not, openly do not. But we've got so comfortable, so complacent, and so ungrateful for the virtues and the morals that we have that, by the way, originate here. You want to talk about Judeo-Christian values? Read the Tanakh. Read the Torah. We become so ungrateful and have such a terribly poor perspective on our culture relative to the rest of the world. It's now racist to say that other cultures may not be quite as good as Western culture. Like, is the culture of stringing up women and gay people or throwing them off buildings or cutting off your hand for stealing, which they still do in Saudi Arabia, is that culture superior or inferior to the culture of a fair trial with a jury? It just goes without saying. And it's now, I want to bring it back to what you said earlier, because I think this is essential. So with peace through strength, I view it as a personal level and on a state level, which we discussed. With the emotional thoughts in politics, I view that, I like to create a microcosm for that. So people who think with only their heart are open to manipulation and getting hurt, right? In their relationships, whatever. People who only think with their head and not their heart are like psychopaths. They're not gonna think about anyone's opinion.
They can't feel anything.
Or feeling, sorry. They're not gonna be empathetic at all. So there's two sides of the spectrum, which is why as humans, we need to do both to a rational level. In order to be rational, we have to use our gut or our hearts, and we have to use our mind to guide them. I'm a firm believer that the left and the right in politics are very much steered by those two things. If we are weak-bodied and and are a bit too comfortable, I think we're more prone to thinking with our heart because we allow our emotions to control things more. But if we are strong in our morals and we understand that we have the morality like we were just discussing, I think we're more prone to use our head guided by our heart. I think politics should always be center-right, guided by the left. Like across the floor in the Houses of Parliament, you have the left shouting at the right when they're being that unempathetic, only thinking with their head sort of style. So I really like to take that the left is the heart and the right is the head, and you need both. But if you do just one, you're in trouble. You're in real trouble. And when you have these college campus people who want to end racism and end violence against women, and they have this suicidal empathy for people who want to kill them, they haven't got this perspective on other cultures, you're open to getting weaponized. There's a term, weaponization of the heart. You can pull on someone's heartstrings and manipulate them. If you show them a photo of a dead child, it doesn't matter if it was from 10 years ago in Syria. If you caption it, Free Palestine, end of story. You're a Nazi if you disagree.
Exactly. And when you're saying this, I'm thinking about I'm also just thinking about wrapping tefillin. That's like the whole beauty of wrapping tefillin is like you have the box on the head. You have the box connected to your heart, right? And it's like, okay, how can we align our head and our heart and live our life with that beautiful level of balance and harmony? Because like you said, if we're too in our head and we lack empathy and compassion, then we're just going to be numb emotionally. And if we're only operating from the heart, we're not going to be able to act rationally. So it's really about merging those two forces together. And that's just another reason why I think wrapping tefillin is a beautiful ritual. But the whole thing about I was just calculating this, bro, because I think a lot of people lose perspective. Like, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but when we go back to October 7th, right? And 1,200 mostly Jewish people were massacred, raped, murdered in the most brutal, savage ways, right? If we were to create an equivalent in America based on the scale of population, that would be the equivalent to 36,000 Americans being slaughtered, raped, murdered, right? Now, if that did happen in America, let's say it happened in Texas, people snuck from Mexico and massacred a town in Texas and killed 36,000 people. What do you think the response would be from the U.S. military? I think they would go absolutely ham on making sure that they eliminate any threat south of the border to preserve the safety of the American people. And then when we bring it back to Israel and we talk about, okay, we have to go in and we have to eliminate Hamas. And unfortunately, because Hamas doesn't value human life and they use their own children for human shields, and they're sending rockets and missiles from hospitals and schools, unfortunately, there's quite a few civilian casualties, which is unfortunate. But let's take a step back and actually understand the scale of that attack that happened on October 7th. Like, absolutely devastating. And Israel has no choice but to defend its borders. When you're surrounded by countries, that entire mission in life is to eliminate you. You have to do everything possible to defend yourself. And I think it's important for Americans to have that level of perspective. And I also think there's this very polarized view of anyone who supports Israel not having any compassion for the people in Gaza, right? It's like, yes, we're proud Jews. Yes, we support Israel. Yes, we live in Israel, right? But we also have hearts. So whenever you see someone suffering or struggling who's innocent, especially if it's a child, your heart feels for that person. And we have to address the root cause of that suffering. Hamas has been in power in Gaza for how long? 20 years, since 2006? It's not like the Palestinian people were thriving before October 7th.
Well, they had brand new cars and they had luxurious lives. They had the opportunity to build luxurious lives in Gaza. They'd like you to think it was an open air prison or a concentration camp. All of a sudden, now it's flattened. They're saying, oh, but look at what we had in Gaza before Israel bombed us. It's not about the truth with this. But I want to take it back to, because immediately, whatever we say here, there will be people on the right and the left who want to be like, oh, but Israel did this on purpose so that they could do this to Gaza, or so that they could get money from America, or whatever it is, the right or the left. They have their way of scapegoating us. But I sat for a geopolitical talk about the conflict not too long after it, about a year after it started. What happened on October 7th? How could it possibly have happened? And the guy explained it essentially as a failure of imagination and not a failure of intelligence. We had a lot of intelligence that they were planning something, but we were still in the arrogant mindset that it could never be on such a large scale. We hadn't experienced something on a large scale. It was the largest massacre of Jews in a single day since the Holocaust. As the state of Israel, we hadn't experienced something like that ever. And we were arrogant. We thought we could deal with it. We did. It was a failure of imagination of the scale rather than a failure of intelligence. And of course, it was Simchat Torah. It was one of the holiest days of the year. The public transportation was shut down. It was Shabbat. So 90-something% of the country is shut down. So I want to put that to rest immediately. But when it comes to the proportionality or just to compare it to if it was to happen in America, or if Wales were to be firing tens of thousands of rockets into England, what would happen? I mean, let's go back to World War II, shall we? The Japanese soldiers would rather pull out their sword and stab themselves in the heart than surrender. This just tells you a difference in culture that you're dealing with. Like and they would crash their own planes into American ships. Perfect planes. Their strategy was suicide. You can't negotiate or deal rationally with a force that is not acting rationally. Hamas openly state that the blood of innocent Palestinian women and children, Ismail Haniyeh, their late leader, said it on live TV. The blood of Palestinian women and children is necessary to forward their mission. And the tunnels are just purely evidence for this. What sort of military hides underneath their own people? What's the purpose of a military? Just defend. If it's for anything other than defense, then you can't start to claim to be the victim. If you want to say that, they're the oppressed, there was a blockade, how did they get 20, 30, 40,000 rockets into a place that was blockaded? It's just nonsense.
Yeah. And that was also just, again, I don't know any other country in the history of humanity that in a time of war is delivering aid to the enemy. Mm-hmm. Right? And I had the chance to go to the Kerem crossing in Gaza, right by Egypt, and all of the claims that Israel is starving these kids and not allowing aid to be delivered. Bro, I witnessed it with my own eyes. There's literally tens of thousands of pounds of food waiting to be delivered. There's enough tuna fish waiting to be delivered to the kids of Gaza to provide them enough protein supply for years. But none of it got delivered because Hamas doesn't want to get it delivered. The UN also literally just neglected it completely, to the point where now it's probably not even good. It's gone completely bad, just boiling in the sun. But think about that. What other country in a time of war has actually gone to great measures to deliver aid to its enemy, bro? Yet none of that narrative is being played out.
I think a lot of because we see a lot of double standards in global politics on Israel, right? with the proportionality nonsense and all of that, and the aid and all this. And I think a lot of that is to do with the lack of perspective and understanding of what an enemy to your own culture looks like. Like I said, the Japanese would rather stab themselves or commit suicide than surrender. I mean, their form of attack was suicide. Same with the Islamists. And their form of defense is suicide of their own people. Not even the Nazis did that. Not even the Nazis hid behind their own civilians. We have to understand what we're dealing with. And the West, as I'm telling you, on their own streets, with their own borders, haven't got a clue what they're dealing with. So Israel started out this war, I would argue, pandering to the Western powers somewhat, at least somewhat.
Yeah.
And we see where that got us. We have a large movement of protesting against the government here, supposedly for the hostages. And I'm sure a lot of it comes from a place of being for the hostages, but a lot of it's politicized because we have our left here too. But unfortunately, to negotiate with them would be doing exactly what they want us to do. We have to give them thousands of terrorists who've committed stabbing, shooting, and bombing attacks in return for 10 of our innocent babies. 10 of our people to come home. And that's the cost of being the moral party. And we have to try and get in their mind, in their mindset of what they planned, because they planned this for at least a decade. We have to get in their mindset of what was their understanding, because obviously they knew Gaza was going to get obliterated, obviously, which is why they booby trap every single building. Actually, a lot of Gaza's destruction is because they booby trap every place they leave. Most of the soldiers' deaths now are from booby traps, from roadside bombs. It's horrendous.
That's so scary.
It's really scary. But what I'm getting at was getting in their mindset, because we have the moral compass in our societies. We really struggle, as I was just saying with the West, we really struggle to get in this mindset of evil and to understand that we're playing into their hands by negotiating with them. People want to attack Benjamin Netanyahu for his strategy for this war, and it's not been perfect, it's been far from it. But he's got 2/3 of the hostages back alive from a people that are set on murdering all the Jews, not just in Israel, but around the globe. I think that's miraculous, quite frankly. But the left strives for perfection, a utopian perfection. And I can understand. I mean, in fact, I can't imagine what people who are related to the hostages have gone through and are still going through. And it must be impossible to have perspective in their position, right? As a friend or a family member of a hostage that's still there. But also we have to have the reality check. We can't just think with our hearts. We can't sacrifice the lives of hundreds of soldiers or, God forbid, thousands of more civilians for the sake of 20 hostages. And that is an insanely difficult reality to come to terms with as a moral society.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter a blip to the Nazis, to the Islamists. In World War II, we had this perspective of morality. Britain bombed the crap out of innocent German civilians. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of German civilians died. Britain targeted civilians in Germany with bombs just to try and get Germany to submit. Didn't work. It didn't work. It worked in Japan, and America had a horrendously bloody battle in Okinawa, and they were dreading landing on Japanese mainland shores. Japan refused to surrender after losing terribly, so they dropped 2 atomic bombs. It worked, but it doesn't always work when you're dealing with these parties.
Yeah. Well, it also takes me back to just like a lack of, I think it's really important what you said about like understanding the enemy, understanding the mindset that they're operating from. Because when you're able to a little bit get a perspective and point of view from their lens, then you can kind of reverse engineer. Okay, this is how they're thinking. This is how they're moving. This is how they're living. One of the things that discourages me about like a future of peace in this region is that the radicalization of murdering Jews and annihilating Israel starts at such a young age. I mean, these kids are 3 and 4 years old, and all they're seeing on TV is cartoons about killing Jews, stoning the Jews. Their school plays are all dedicated to being the hero, being a martyr, and giving up your life to Allah and killing Jews.
As people blessed with morals, we can't understand this
We
reality.
can't fathom that. We can't fathom that, right? So it's like, it's such a deeply indoctrinated hatred. You walk the streets of Israel, bro, and you'll rarely even hear like words of violence. People here just want peace. That's why I always say, like, if you have any questions about this conflict, about this region, about Israel as a whole, you should take the due diligence to make a trip here and experience a week here. Talk to people. I guarantee the truth will reveal itself in that time. And it's also like when, I don't know how it was in England, by the way, but like it takes me back, bro, to, I believe it was May 2021 when all of the George Floyd stuff happened. And these massive BLM riots were hitting the streets. Millions of people, right? Speaking out against this unjust murder and this racism. And then a few months, a couple years later, the truth reveals itself. Black Lives Matter is one of the most corrupt, shady organizations. They're collecting hundreds of millions of dollars and doing absolutely nothing to support social justice, right? In fact, it's also very aligned. George Soros was a big funder of those protests. He's also one of the big funders of all the Free Palestine campus protests. Free Palestine is the globalization of the Black Lives Matter protests that we saw for George Floyd. It's all of these people who have been indoctrinated to think that they're doing something really moral. They're supporting this social justice movement, right? They're speaking out against hate. They're speaking out against all of these bad things. In reality, they're doing the complete opposite. All of these people who are parading for Black Lives Matter quickly got exposed. Black Lives Matter is one of the corrupt, most illegitimate organizations. And this Free Palestine movement, if you had any rational understanding of the situation, you would understand that by you parading in the streets, wearing your keffiyeh, actually somewhat supporting Hamas, you're doing the opposite of supporting the Palestinian people and the Palestinian movement.
It's never been about them.
No, it's never been about them.
These people who want to convince themselves that it's about the children dying, wherever it is. It's not. It's about them being so incapable of doing some introspection and understanding why they hate themselves so much that they attach themselves to the transgenderism, to the Palestine, to the climate, to this, to the racism, whatever it is, so that they can feel or try to feel good about themselves. Because I'm fighting for a just cause, therefore I must be a good person. This is my whole movement, the Peace Through Strength movement. I've just founded it, and it's all about bringing back courage, which is the ultimate virtue. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, and thank you, Aristotle, for that quote. Courage is the ultimate virtue. It takes courage to not only protect your family, protect your morals, protect your values, but to do some vital introspection when you're lost, when you can't understand, you don't have perspective of or gratitude of anything. It takes courage to say, what do I not like about myself? What could I improve about myself? These people are so weak, they can't even do that. They'd rather dye their hair blue, get as many piercings and tattoos as they can so that they can't recognize themselves, and then go to a Palestine rally, a jihadi communist rally, and fit in somehow.
Wow. That was so well worded because it made me actually think about like all of the transgender movement who is just completely transforming their physical body. And a huge reason they're probably doing that is because when they look in the mirror, they hate themselves. So rather than actually going through that inner work of healing your emotional wounds and traumas, they take the easy route. It's crazy to think that the easy route is literally having your genitals removed and transformed and mutilated and all of your hormones shifted. But for many people, that is the route that they're choosing.
The evil at the root of that movement cannot be underestimated. Tens of thousands of American children have been mutilated by this movement. And it is not because it makes them feel more comfortable. It's because they are trying to kill our societies. The same way that they teach you, as George Orwell says, he who controls the past controls the future. If you make all white people be guilty for being white and for being British, how could they possibly have hope for the future? And if they don't buy into that, remember, LA and New York will be underwater in 10 years. So what's the point in thinking about the future? You demoralize a society, you flip the truth, and you sterilize its children. We're at full-scale war right now.
Yeah. Spiritual war.
Full-scale spiritual, ideological, cultural, moral war. This is a war of right and wrong. It's not right and left. It is people who want to survive and people who want to die. That's it.
We saw, I think we're seeing that so clearly with the Charlie Kirk assassination too. You know what I mean? It's like, it's really brought that to the surface because at the root cause, Charlie Kirk was a man of faith, a man of God. He was a family man, such a proud husband and father. And that's everything that goes against the woke left Marxist agenda. Destroy the family unit. Destroy any relationship to God. Mm-hmm. Because if you're actually connected to God and you actually lean on your loved ones and your family, then you're going to be happy. You're going to be at peace. You're not going to search for all of these external bullshit things to make you feel whole and complete, like changing your gender or dyeing your hair blue or going to a Free Palestine concert and wearing a keffiyeh. Like it really is like when you strip it down, I think what you said is so accurate. It's fucking wild, bro. The world we're living in.
There's actually studies of people with more tattoos and more piercings. The more tattoos and piercings you get, the more likely you are to have anxiety. It's just like,
well, yeah. And it's also, and again, I have a bunch of like small tattoos, right? I have like 10, but like even my friends who are tatted up, like sleeves, like neck tattoos, like a lot of them escaped dark places and they got those tattoos as an expression of their pain. It was healing for them in that moment. And that's why a lot of times these people, when they do the inner work, they're like, yo, what the fuck is on my body? I want to remove this shit. But on a much deeper level than that, it's like if you lack a connection to real morals, real values, real connection to God, you're always going to search for those things externally, usually in the wrong places. And that's exactly what this woke left agenda is preying on. It's preying on weakness. It's preying on victimization. And unfortunately, it's become a pretty prevalent force. But I think like October 7th was one of the darkest days in Jewish and Israeli history, but it also awakened millions of Jews around the world to reconnect to their faith, to reconnect to their Judaism, to reconnect to their love of Israel. I also think this Charlie Kirk assassination woke up tens of millions of people. Like, holy shit.
I really hope so. And I really think that we are starting to see, it felt like an October 7th moment for me. It really did. And my life was never the same again after October the 7th. I knew I would never be able to see the world in the same way. I actually went to my corporate job on which I enjoyed at the time, on the Monday following, 2 days later. Wow. Quite a conservative environment, and people were treading on eggshells around me. People didn't have the courage to say anything to me. They knew I had family in Israel. They knew I had been to Israel twice that year. I got back a month before. People couldn't say anything to me, and that said everything. That spoke volumes. I could never focus on my corporate job ever again. I knew I would never be able to. A few months later, it took actually a number of months to focus on what I'm doing now, which is rebuilding our morals through courage, through strength, peace through strength.
I want to go back to your life pre-October 7th, actually. You know, our relationship is like 3 or 4 months old, right? Obviously for me, I wasn't sharing anything online about my Judaism, my love for Israel before October 7th. It was all like health, wellness, mindset, microdosing content, right? But after October 7th, again, that fire was awakened within me. And I knew this was a big part of my next chapter, my slichut, my purpose. I'm curious for you if it was something similar before October 7th. Like, what was Sammy Yahood's life like? Were you out there being proud, you know, waving Israeli flags, getting in fights with Islamists in the streets? What was your life like?
Less so, but still at least somewhat. I was teaching self-defense and doing security as volunteering for the Jewish community in the UK. And I loved it. And that was what I did in my evenings, on my weekends. On Shabbat morning, I was doing security.
Wow.
Most weeks.
At a synagogue or what?
Synagogues. I was doing events at hotels. I would do like mobile security. So I'd go around the Jewish areas. And I not only enjoyed it, but it was it was my purpose. I knew it was my purpose. And as you could see in 2021, 2022, things were starting to, you could feel the libel of the Jewish people from the BBC and I could feel it brewing. The Jew hate is never gone. It's just been bubbling beneath the surface. We're the perfect scapegoat, right? We're the 1% that's disproportionately successful with funny hats and funny noses. And I always knew that, but I never really appreciated it. And I felt my purpose from volunteering within the community, and I was doing so for years before October the 7th. But I was still working my corporate job. I still wanted to buy a place in England, and maybe I was probably going to stay in England. It took me 9 years to come back to Israel. After I went with school when I was 13. It took me 9 years to come back. And I was kind of waiting for a girlfriend or a friend or my family to want to go as much as I did.
Yeah.
It never came. I came on my own, and it was the best 10 days of my life. And
was that a birthright trip or something?
No, in fact, I signed up for Birthright and I never got the phone call because my phone had unsaved numbers turned off. It's blocked. So I never got the phone call. I went on my own a month after I got back. So I went in May. A month after I got back, I saw an email saying, we've been trying to phone you for 3 months. You've missed the summer trip, but come in the winter. So I went that same December.
Yeah.
That was also completely life-changing. After that, I led Birthright trips myself and volunteering trips, which is such a special experience. If you're Jewish and you've not done Birthright, you have to. It is, you meet Jews of virtually secular, non-Jewish upbringing to Jews who keep Shabbat, keep kosher, and you're all on the same bus, and you're all staying in not dorms, but like you're staying in rooms of 2 or 3, and you're sitting in circles most days, and it's such a special experience. I met people and I led trips for people who had never had a Jewish friend. Wow. I can't tell you how special it is to be responsible to bring a kid from Scotland or a girl from Japan to the Kotel who's never met a Jew before. They've grown up in wherever, and this is the first time they're making Jewish friends, and they're 23. I knew as soon as I did it, I'm getting goosebumps now. I knew as soon as I did Birthright as a participant, I had to do it as a leader. I did it a few times. Such a privilege. I I was always community minded. I just wasn't sure of my purpose. I always wanted to join the army. Always. I couldn't join the British Army. I tried to when I was 16. I have an injury and
You can join when you're 16?
Yeah, there's like cadet sort of thing that moves you into it as a career. I couldn't for a number of reasons join the British Army, which is a blessing in disguise. I then wanted to join the Israeli Army, but I couldn't because of a very serious injury in my spine. But that again was a blessing in disguise. Life is not about what happens to you; it's about your reaction to it, right? I started a career in real estate, and it was successful, and it made me into a man. I have to tell you, dealing with the guys on the building sites to the multimillionaire clients, and then in the same room, it really does. As someone with like ADHD who always wants to have their opinion heard and always wants to speak, and it really teaches you just to how to really act in with different types of people. So that my career, which was 6-7 years long, really made me into a man. And I made Aliyah at the right time. I made Aliyah at 24. I have life experience. I have a degree. I had some money to help soften the landing. But I made Aliyah when I had my purpose. The only thing I've been really sure about in life is fighting. I wanted to be a fighter. I wanted to be in the army. I wanted to be both.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be a UFC fighter. But that's the only thing I've ever been sure about in my life. And I've been able to focus on 100% is fighting. So I turned that into what I'm doing now. I'm not the best self-defense instructor. I'm not close to the best self-defense instructor, but I know how to get people doing it. And I understand how to get the message across. I understand what people need to get through the door to start doing self-defense. And I'm going to build a movement of people taking responsibility for their peace through strength.
Hey, let's go. There's so many things I want to unpack there, bro. First of all, if you're watching this right now and you're 1/8 Jewish, 1/4 Jewish, your great-great-grandma was half Jewish, you need to get your ass to Israel. Birthright literally offers anyone with any Jewish lineage a free trip to Israel. And I'm confident that 10 days in Israel will absolutely transform your life. Like, another thing that you said too is you couldn't find anyone to go to Israel with. Like, you're waiting maybe for a girl or your parents or family members, and you're like, yo, I got to take ownership of my life. And that's just a reflection of everything that life throws at us. If you're constantly waiting for someone to take action, you're most likely never going to do that thing. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you're like, you know what? I need to trust this feeling. I need to lean into that discomfort, because that's what courage is. Courage is taking action despite feeling the fear, right?
Doing the right thing, not knowing what's going to come of it.
Yeah, fully trusting. And that is what you embodied. And you also said, like, the Jewish people, 1%. Let's be very clear. The Jewish people are 0.2% of the world's population, bro. Not 2%. Sammy.
I was about to say we round up, but you can't even round up from that.
Exactly. You would round down. 0.2%. That means on average, you take 1,000 people. That means on average, 2 of them will be Jewish. Okay. Yet 22% of Nobel Prize winners, obviously most industries, including the best rapper in the world, Drake, is Jewish. Like, the Jews do run the world. So I get why there's a lot of hate on the Jewish people.
I think the most controversial thing we've said on this podcast is that Drake is the best rapper on earth. Oh, come on, man.
I mean, listen.
Come on.
Listen. The dude isn't even 40 yet, and he has hundreds of hits. Like, hundreds of bangers, bro.
This is true.
Okay, so we'll get into that debate later. We'll get into that debate later. But think about that. Think about that. 0.2% of the world's population. And my question is, for all the people that hate the Jewish people, that hate Israel, like, if you got your wish and all the Jews just disappeared, who would you blame for your problems? Like, who would people blame for their problems? You see all these people now trying to blame Charlie Kirk's assassination on Israel, on the Jews. It's like, it doesn't end, bro. It doesn't end. And I think the number one thing that I see in your story too, from the time that we spent together, is you haven't resorted to playing the victim. Like, with the different challenges, whether it's ADHD, whether it's, a fractured spine, whether it's all of these other challenges and obstacles that you've experienced, many of which I'm probably unaware of, you still haven't resorted to playing the victim. And that is just a representation of the Jewish people as a whole. Think about that, bro. Think about the Jewish people for thousands of years being persecuted anywhere we go, right? The Holocaust happened. 6 million Jews eliminated. Almost the entire race eliminated. Fast forward to 2025, 0.2% of the world's population. There's 15 million Jews out of 8 billion people in the world. 22%. Nobel Prize winners. You look at the most successful people in the world. Many of them are Jewish, including Drake, the best rapper in the world. And that's not my opinion. That is objective. All right? But think about it, bro. Think about it. The reason the Jewish people are where we are now is because we refuse to play the victim. Because we have every opportunity to play the victim and feel sorry for ourselves. But instead, we've transmuted all of that pain into purpose. And we continue to rise above every single obstacle and adversity, including right now. There's never been more anti-Semitism in the world than right now. Yet, the Jewish people in Israel continue to rise up. Like, we're here proudly rocking our Magen Davids. Like, this is a great time to be a Jewish person, And I think it's a great opportunity for anyone who's been disconnected from their lineage, from their heritage, to really lean in. Like, lean in and just realize that you're one of the chosen ones that gets an opportunity to actually experience this life in this way. So you're an embodiment of that, bro. Like, I really do see that with you. It's crazy that you're only 25, because I feel like you've had so many unique life experiences and you're so well-spoken, and like, bro, the sky's the limit for you.
Man, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I want to dive into the not being the victim, because Jews have been through so much trauma, and there's like, science understands that trauma passes through the generation. You don't have to have seen it yourself. If your grandma saw it, you feel it in some way. And your body and your nervous system reacts to it in some way, which is a crazy thing to understand. But like, for example, Jews are the best comedians. That's a trauma response. It's like, you know what they say, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. We're the best comedians. We're
Crazy.
Also the best money managers, because we were forced into that role by Christians and Muslims, because it was against their religion to loan money, to take a percentage. We became the best at what people didn't want to do. Life becomes sour the moment you become the victim. And unfortunately, being the victim is the easiest response. The easiest response is to be like, it's just to be down because something hit you, or because you lost this, or because someone else won that. It's like, people are afraid, and it takes courage to do the introspection and understand, what can I do? What can I do? Not, I can't do this. That hurts. No, what can I do, and how can I change? How can I change my mind? There's a saying in Israel, Hakol barosh.
Everything's
in your head. Everything. What's pain?
B-roll.
What's pain? Pain is in your head. It's your body's response, your nervous system sending a message to your brain that you're in pain. That's why I love the fucking ice bath, man.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, it hurts. It doesn't hurt. It's your body saying, it's your body releasing a massive amount of adrenaline and saying, this could be a survival moment right here.
Yep.
When really, if you can control your breathing, you tell your nervous system, calm down. This is not a survival moment.
Yeah.
This is some voluntary stress, some voluntary discomfort I'm putting you through. And voluntary discomfort is essential for people to have perspective on life's difficulty. If you have all the cortisol, this horrendous thing that is released in the body from stress from work or stress from the commute, stress from the traffic, whatever, and you don't have the stress of running past your limits or lifting until failure or stretching, which is like one of the perfect examples because it's immediately painful and it's also immediately rewarding.
Yeah.
Even breathing and meditation, it's so difficult. Every time you get distracted from breathing in, breathing out, it's like, damn, I can either think, damn, that's annoying, and then lose it. Or I can be, well done, I went back to breathing in and breathing out. And I go again. Yeah. Trust me, as someone with ADHD, meditation can be like torture sometimes. It's really, really hard, and it's called a practice for a reason. Same as yoga. You never get good at yoga. You just get better at dealing with it.
Yeah.
And it's everything. Everything.
It's like a reflection of life too. The ice bath is crazy too, like you were saying, for the dopamine. I think when you take an ice bath, you release like 400x the dopamine, and it lasts like 6 to 8 hours. So it's like this extended release of a feel-good hormone. When you think about most people who have harmful addictions or habits, a lot of that is stemming from a constant hunt of chasing dopamine and instant gratification in the form of vaping, in the form of alcohol, in the form of cocaine, in the form of sex. Like all of this is our brains craving like this feel-good experience. But those feel-good experiences last a very short time. When you take an ice bath, you experience that dopamine release, the endorphins for 6 to 8 hours.
It's crazy.
It's like,
it releases the same amount of dopamine as cocaine, just not for 30 minutes, for 3+ hours.
Yeah.
It's like and that's something I want to get into. I can nerd out about the ice bath.
Well, imagine doing a line of cocaine while you're in the ice bath.
You know what? But shout out to Andrew Huberman. He brings science to the people. I love that man.
Yeah.
He says that if you do coffee before, it increases the benefits of it.
Really?
Yeah. If you have coffee like an hour before, it
That's a good way to justify me drinking more coffee. I love that. But, I'm a big fan of that.
The difficulty of the ice bath is like a microcosm for life. It's like it tells you how you can deal with everything in life. That you have to get through the adrenaline, which makes you think you're in a fight or flight mode. You've fallen into a frozen lake. That's where that comes from. We avoid discomfort at all costs in the West. We have our $2,000 couch. We don't do any exercise to earn how long we sit down on it for. We have the escalators in the train station. And I jokingly say you can put yourself in the 1% of society if you walk up the bloody thing, because no one walks up them. We made an invention that's supposed to make us faster, and it's making us slower. Hello.
It's crazy.
It's like we avoid discomfort to any extent. Yeah. If you just put yourself through, understand that discomfort is essential. No living being gets to avoid the elements of the rain, the snow, the cold, other than us. Other than the bear in the cave, but even the cave's not that great. But like we have climate control. When we don't have climate control, we've got puffy winter jackets. We have it so good, and it's making it so bad.
That it probably goes back to the previous part of the conversation. Why so many people are almost searching for problems, because their life is so easy.
Not almost. They are. They're searching for problems.
Their life is like so fucking easy. They've avoided pain and discomfort their entire life, and now they're like lacking purpose. Because at the end of the day, purpose is a manifestation of pain. If you think about it, like the biggest obstacles and challenges you've gone through in your life are also the things that you're inspired to share with others the most. Same thing with me, right? Whether it's having a challenging relationship with my older brother, or challenges with ADHD, or reconnecting to Judaism. All of these things were such significant parts of my journey who helped me become the version of myself that I am today. And those are the things that I'm most passionate about sharing and helping others with as well. So I think another part of the issue with today's society is that they're completely lacking purpose. So by going to that Free Palestine protests, by going to the BLM protests, by dyeing their hair blue, by changing their genders, they think that they're finally connecting to their purpose. They found their tribe that accepts them, that loves them, that sees them. When in reality, it's something much deeper in their soul that's missing. And that is what we need to address on a bigger scale, which is a challenging thing to address. But I think like really like the youth, that's why right now I woke up this morning, bro, and I saw one of my buddies did a collaboration with San Diego State University, and he like spoke to the Jewish frat there, AE Pi, and I was like, dude, I want to go on a freaking tour where I go to all the AE Pis around America and like inspire these young men to live with more purpose, live with more health, live with more like healthy masculine energy. And I think that's what we need to really focus on is like the younger generation, bro. Like we have an ability to really, I think, penetrate their souls.
Yeah.
In a positive way, of course.
We need to light a fire up their asses is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And if that gets their souls, then good. But it needs to be aggressive. And that's what people are afraid of. We are, just to go back to the victim thing, unfortunately, as Jews, we've become comfortable just like the rest of Western society. We, like in the 1930s, we thought we were German Jews and not Jews living in Germany. Big and dangerous difference. We are Jews from Judea that were living in Germany. We are Jews from Judea living in America. We cannot forget that. We have this obsession with assimilation. Yes, it's a good thing, and it's made us rise to the top of society, but we will always be Jews. And that should be to us first, not to everyone else, which will always see us as Jews. We should always be Jews first to ourselves. First of all, we are obsessed with anti-Semitism, and it drives me insane. It really drives me insane. Why aren't we talking about pro-Semitism? Why aren't we talking about no one has seen a positive representation of a Jew? Because Jews don't walk around proudly because we're scared. We victimize ourselves because we don't empower our youth. I actually missed a part of my life story. I went to Jewish schools until the age of 16, and I was a weak individual by the end of it, with no sense of Jewish purpose or understanding whatsoever. I went to the biggest Jewish school in Europe, and they taught me nothing.
Really?
Nothing. I learned Hebrew until the age of 13, and I dropped it the moment they let me to learn Spanish.
How's your Spanish now?
Not so great, because I picked up Hebrew again a few years ago.
By choice.
By choice, because I saw the purpose in it. And guess what? I learned it on my own.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jewish education. They have been responsible for us raising weak children who victimize themselves once again, rather than raising Maccabees, raising proud Jews. It's not about fighting. It's about fighting in your own life. It's not about fighting other people. People see me as the guy who fought the Islamists in the street of London because they attacked him for carrying flags. It's not about fighting. It's about defending yourselves and about fighting in your own life. Everything's a fight. We've just talked about that. It's everything. Anything worth talking about is something that was difficult.
Yeah.
And we are not doing the difficult thing. We're doing the privileged thing. The only way we know how to fight in 2025 is through litigation and through petition and through discussion. What happens when people stop listening? They've stopped listening. Not just the Jews, the West. I actually got a little bit annoyed at Ben Shapiro, who I respect highly. In his response to Charlie Kirk's death, he's like, what we need to do is get back to the discourse. They weren't listening in the first place. What's discourse going to help? We're just going to be talking amongst ourselves. It's people who want to die versus people who want to survive, and people who want to destroy our societies of freedom against people who want to survive and continue living this luxurious existence, which is an anomaly across history. All of human history is tyrannical and brutal and poverty. We have had less than a century of this luxury that we have now, and we're about to throw it away. We need to go to be unapologetic in our morals and fight for them, because it's gone past discourse. We have to fight in our own lives before we even think about anything else. We're not doing that. We're doing the easy thing. by taking everything outside of ourselves. It can't be me. It must be anti-Semitism that's the problem. I'm not blaming the Jews for anti-Semitism, but no one even has a positive representation of what a Jew is.
Yeah. That's a really interesting perspective. And where focus goes, energy flows, right? So if we're focused on this one element of anti-Semitism, then it's avoiding the more proactive approach, which is what you're speaking about. And I think even myself, bro, after this Charlie Kirk thing, my assistant called me and she was really shaken up by it. And she's like, I'm scared. You know, we were just talking about going to a couple US cities and speaking. And she's like, I'm scared someone's going to target you for everything that you speak about and share. And I was like, fuck, like, is she right? Like, is it safe to go back to New York City and LA and share these things that I've been sharing online? And I found myself feeling a little hesitant, a little scared. And after doing some reflection, I was like, absolutely not. Like, can't allow the fear to debilitate the voice and the mission and the message. This is an opportunity for Jews around the world to just lean into more faith, more courage, and actually be proud. Like, because that is the only time the Jewish people are truly vulnerable, is when we're operating from fear, when we forget about our Jewish identity, when we tuck in our Star of David, right? That's actually when the opponent wins. That's when we're at our weakest, when we're too scared to even be proud of our faith. So the biggest message I have, and I think that you have for all the Jews around the world, is like, this is a moment when we're all needed. We're only 0.2% of the world's population. Like, if we can actually all come together, be'achad, and unite and lean into that collective consciousness of courage and gratitude for being given this life and this opportunity to be a Jew during this moment in history, like, what a special moment, bro. What a gift. Like, woof. Like, I'm actually fired up because I feel like this is going to be a time, bro, where we're going to be telling our grandkids about this moment in history. I really believe that.
We're living through biblical times, and you just said it in English. I'm going to say it in Hebrew. One of the most well-known phrases amongst Jews is lo lefached klal. Do not be afraid at all. One of the most important things is not to be afraid at all. If you're afraid, you're not going to do the introspection that's necessary to build. If you're afraid, you're not going to have the difficult conversation that's necessary to have to progress. It's everything. Fear is the ultimate paralyzer. And like you said, all the energy is going towards this anti-Semitism, which is an external problem. We think it's almost self-centered. We think it's all about ourselves. It's not about us. This focus of this conflict of Palestine in the West, it's not about Israel. It's not about the Jews. And it's certainly not about Palestine. It's about the destruction of all the values we hold dear. That's it. The woke or the Islamist tyrants want you to be afraid. That's the number one thing they want. They want you to be afraid so that you don't talk out. Remember, Islam means submission. Like I said, there are plenty of Muslims who want peace. They won't tell you. They sure as shit won't put it on social media because that puts a target on their back. They want you to be afraid. The moment they take away your freedom of speech in the UK and start arresting people for saying something that upsets someone allegedly on social media, all of a sudden, the entire population is afraid to speak their mind. And guess what? You have tyranny. And Americans need to understand the mistakes Europe has made, and Canada. These places are on the brink of a colonization that's never been seen in human history, an unarmed colonization. It's crazy. We are in biblical times right now, right this second. And even your necklace, when you put it away and you said Jews have to hide their necklace, it started tingling and telling you to bring it out again because we can do that here. We don't have to be afraid here. We have our brothers and our sisters defending our right to stand by our morals and to stand by our love and our families here. What a privilege. I can't understand any Jew that stays in Europe in 2025.
Gosh, bro.
I can't understand it. The only explanation for me is gross comfort.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, if you're a Jew watching this in London, Paris, Germany, any other place in Europe, what are you doing? Like, I'm telling you, as soon as you spend time in Israel, you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I didn't move here sooner. Same thing, by the way, for all of the Jews in New York, Miami, and LA. Don't get me wrong. Those cities are special. And they have big Jewish populations. But if you take the best aspects and elements of New York, Miami, and LA, and you combine them, they are still not as good as the magic you're going to experience in Israel. Mm. And those are great places, bro. Like, they have great Jewish communities. But again, family. You have the school that your kids go to. You have your friends. I understand it. I understand it. And I do think we need Jewish communities in other places. I know there's a lot of people that are like, all the Jews belong in Israel. I love that concept, but I also think we do need Jewish communities in other places to amplify the voice, right?
I'm not even going to say that all the Jews belong in Israel.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Europe is finished. Europe has given up. We have this woke Islamist at the highest position of power in Britain.
Yeah. There was someone recently elected.
Hear this stat. Try this one, yeah? I'm going to move the mic because this is serious now. The MI5, which is like Britain's FBI, the CIA, sorry, has 40,000 Islamists in Britain on their terrorist watch list. Yeah? Yeah, there's 40,000 Islamists in Britain on the terrorist watch list for the British CIA. MI5. Guess who now is the boss of the director of MI5? Her name is Mahmoud. And she's been recorded in interviews proudly saying, Islam is the center of my life and dictates all of my decisions. She is now responsible for what happens to the 40,000 Islamists on the terror watch list in Britain.
That's disgusting. How did that even happen?
Because our society...
Who elected her?
She was appointed.
By
Keir Starmer. No, I'm kidding. Keir Starmer. Who's just... I don't even have any words for him. But then you've got the Mayor of London who tells us British Muslims contribute loads to British society. They are diverse and inclusive people. He's a Muslim, of course. Sadiq Khan.
The Mayor of London's a Muslim?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So he says all of that. Meanwhile, so they contribute loads to society. So the King Charles has also said Salaam alaikum in front of Muslim crowds and says, you contribute loads to society. Try this one on for size, King Charles. Yeah? More Muslims with British citizenship have left to fight for ISIS than have fought for the British armed forces. It's almost double the Muslims with British passports have left to fight for ISIS than have fought for the British armed forces. I don't give a shit what school your kids go to. I don't give a shit whether your grandparents still live there. How can you be so comfortable and so complacent? And I'm going to offend so many people with this. I don't care. How can you be so grossly complacent within living memory of the Holocaust? Just the other day, I saw a fucking printed out sign that said Juden on it in Germany, saying, it said it's like, this is not anti-Semitism. It said, this is not personal in German. We just don't like you, basically, is what it said. Jews, you have a house ban here. In Germany, we are grossly desecrating the memory of our ancestors. How dare you say never again? I'm going on one here and I'm going to continue. How dare you say never again with this knowledge without acting?
What do you think though because we were talking about like not taking the easy way out, right? Because there could be the perspective of like, all right, well, if I leave London, if all the Jews just leave and flee England, isn't that also in a way submitting to the Islamists?
Not at all.
Or do you think it's just
you want
like...
to know what submitting to the Islamists is? Convert or die. That's submitting to the Islamists. Coming home to the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people where we received the Torah and all of our history has been, other than massacre, all of our history has occurred here. That's running? Or is that coming home? What a ridiculous... That's just sums up, we're American Jews, we're Americans. No, I'm going to just use an example for you. Black Americans. What do you call them? Afro-Americans. Not American Afros. They are Africans first. We are Jews first. We can't just rely on the people who want us dead to remind us of that. It's bonkers how comfortable. And I think it comes from this desperate obsession to assimilate. We are and it comes from this trauma of not wanting our kids to experience the same thing that we experienced. So my grandparents were very working class. One of them arrived on a boat from Egypt after the Egyptian government stole everything from them. They sewed gold into the buttons of their clothes to retain some wealth. They were very wealthy in Egypt. They got kicked out in the 50s, took a boat to Liverpool. Fucking Liverpool, imagine their shock. Yeah? And I can't imagine how long the boat ride is from Alexandria, Egypt to Liverpool. But anyway, kids nowadays couldn't... She was 18, my grandma, when that happened. She had siblings younger than her.
She's still around?
Unfortunately not. She died in October 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
She probably has some crazy stories.
Oh, yeah. She spoke 6 languages. But anyway, we don't have the perspective that generation has.
Yeah.
But there's still people alive that do. But what I'm saying is, I think it's a trauma response to desperately try to assimilate and to desperately shield our children, bubble wrap our children, to prevent them from ever having to experience what we experienced. But this whole episode, we've talked about comfort, getting out your comfort zone, experiencing hardship. I think that's essential to have a sound mind. And we've not given our children the ability to have a sound mind.
Yeah.
And on the side of that, we're not teaching them what it means to be Jewish or the significance of Israel anymore. I went to the biggest Jewish school in Europe and I left it with no gratitude or perspective whatsoever. It took me being this 5'6", 50 kilo little Jewish boy who hardly knew left and right, going to a public school to understand, oh shit, not only have I taken this for granted and being Jewish is special and significant and fragile and precious, but God, I need to go and learn self-defense and learn about my history. But we just bubble wrap our children nowadays and we're wondering why they end up.
It's the worst thing you can do, honestly. I'm not a parent yet. You're not a parent yet, but like entitling your kids is the biggest cancerous thing you can do. Because there's something in Kabbalah called bread of shame, right? And this is just any idea that you're receiving this light without doing anything to deserve it, right? So this is why you see some of the most fucked up people as adults are the kids of super successful, wealthy people who gave them everything when they were younger. They never had to work for anything. They have no sense of work ethic. And you grow older and there's this idea of bread of shame. You almost feel guilty and shameful for receiving all of this because you know you didn't do anything to deserve it. It's the same thing in relationships, right? Like if you're with someone and you're constantly just buying them shit and it's not coming from a place of like love and nourishment. It's coming from a place of like, yo, I just want to shower with you with things and like prove to you my worth. There's again, this idea of bread of shame. Like I'm receiving all of this light without doing anything to receive it. Same thing with when you're chasing instant gratification and you're ripping a line of cocaine, or you're on OnlyFans, right? You're tugging one out to strangers having sex on the screen. You're receiving this light that's very temporary, but you're starving your soul in the process. So I think a big part of this life is realizing like how to expand your vessel and become the version of yourself that is worthy and deserving of receiving all of the blessings. And the best way to do that is leaning into the discomfort. That's why I have this tattoo.
Man. I love it.
That's why that's really like when I was reflecting on my life, right? I realized that every single shitty moment, obstacle, challenge, adversity was actually the biggest blessing. Whether it was getting cheated on, whether it was being super insecure because I had bad acne, whether it was going through really traumatic things with my older brother, whether it was going through dark nights of the soul, sitting with ayahuasca, like all of these really difficult moments helped shape me into the version of myself that I am today. Just like you said earlier, life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Every single event and experience in your life is divinely guiding you to become the highest version of yourself. And once you recognize that, and once you have that perspective on life, that every single moment is actually a miracle, and it's taking you to the place that you belong, taking you to this next level of ascension, that's when life gets really interesting, because you realize like, okay, as long as I just keep showing up and leaning into the discomfort, I'm good. I'm Gucci.
Understand that it's all a test, whether you're religious or not. You're being tested all the time by the good and the bad that are at your fingertips, that happen to you, that happen in front of you, whatever. You can either enjoy it or you can resent it and therefore resent yourself. It's all in your mind. Everything is your reaction to it and not actually what happens. It's you control your reality. You can't control what happens to you, but you control your response. And it's essential to understand that you are just constantly in this test of yourself. And just like curling a dumbbell builds my bicep, but it's painful the next day. It's not like pain like I bumped my head pain. It's pain like, oh, I worked and I grew pain, right? Anyone who's worked out understands that. It's painful, but it's a different pain to I've bruised my head, right? The same thing is with your mind. Your mind is not your brain's not a muscle, but it has muscular traits. Like you can exercise it and change it. You can literally change the fabric of your brain by exercising it.
Yeah. And that's also a beautiful thing about mushrooms. We're not going to have time to like drop in a lot about it, but I know you were asking about microdosing earlier. One of the beautiful things about mushrooms is that they increase neuroplasticity in the brain. So literally rewiring your brain to think and act differently. And in that process, you're letting go of old habits and patterns that no longer serve you. Mm-hmm. So things like mushrooms can be super beneficial in that process of rewiring and reprogramming, so you can actually create those calluses on your mind. Because like when you work out, you also get calluses on your hands, right? I got some nice ones, some nasty ones. But like what you're talking about right now is calluses on your mind. And that happens through resilience, through courage.
It's painful in a different way. That's why I say you can't have a healthy mind without a healthy body.
Yeah.
Because understanding literal physical pain response, like stretching or ice bath or lifting weights, will then allow you to evolve to the next step, which is the mental pain, which is the blocks, which is the self-restraint and all of that. And I love mushrooms. We are more closely related to fungi by 40 million years than we are to plants. So when people tell you to eat leaves, tell them, I'm going to leave the leaves for now and I'm going to eat, what do they call them? The caps, the fruit, the flower. Mushrooms.
The fruiting bodies.
Yeah, the fruiting body.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat some fruiting body today because the mycelium, mushroom networks, fungi networks are very similar in structure to the human nervous system.
Yeah.
I take lion's mane, which is a non-psychoactive supplement. I take it every single day.
Yeah.
It makes me more articulate. I genuinely believe it makes me more articulate. It makes me more able to string sentences together. And it literally repairs nerve endings in the brain.
Yeah. No, lion's mane's great. Again, we could have a whole episode on health and mental health and the broken Western medicine system as well, because that's been the biggest mistake, is treating these things separately, right? Treating mental health just as a mental issue, when in reality, it could be related to your physiology. Are you not moving your body enough? Maybe you're eating foods that are causing inflammation, that are impacting your serotonin production, right? 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So if you're eating like shit, you're going to feel like shit mentally. Your food is going to determine your mood and mental health. It's the same thing too when you do things to support your brain health. It's actually going to impact your body in a positive way too. So everything is interconnected, much like the mycelium network that you mentioned. Sammy, bro, I feel like we could do like a 6-hour podcast.
Wow.
What message, bro? And first of all, I want to just acknowledge you, man. It's amazing to just witness your journey. Like I said, even though we've only known each other for a few months, it's amazing to see the trajectory that you're on. And I'm inspired just by seeing the stuff that you're doing, by the impact you're creating, by leaning more into your purpose and sharing your gifts with the world, bro. So I'm excited to see what you continue to create. And yeah, bro, proud of you. And want to just give you an opportunity to share anything that maybe we didn't get a touch on. Where can people connect with you as well?
So my name is Sammy Yahood. If you want to find me on all platforms, Sammy Yahood, as in Yehud as in Jew in Arabic, because I thought they throw that slur around like it's nothing. So I may as well reclaim that with a bit of my Arabic Jewish roots. So my name's Sammy Yahood. You can find me on all platforms. I'm most active on Instagram, and I'm really building a movement, as I said. Peace through strength, we've discussed in detail today, and it's everything. We're attacking the problems in the West as if it's political. Really, it's cultural. And as a self-defense instructor, as someone who's traveled around the world, and as we've discussed somewhat, has experienced some difficulty, I really think I am in this position where I want to motivate the world to be able to empower themselves to rise above all the difficulty that we're experiencing in the West. Because I know for sure my generation are extremely confused and lost and afraid. And as we've discussed in depth, our societies are on the brink, and our values are under threat from every single angle. And the only way to fight this is culturally. We need to make sure we are on point and we understand that we have the morality on our side as Westerners, as Jews, as Christians. And follow me for more, because you're going to see one of the biggest movements of empowerment in history rise from, I hope, from you, from the individuals on the streets in America, in Europe, everywhere. The empowerment will come from you. I just want to be a vessel for that to flow through the streets. And we're going to take back our culture, and we're going to defend our morals with everything.
Let's fucking go, baby. I'm ready.
Peace through strength. Jeremy, I love you. You're an inspiration that the world could do with a lot more of. Men are lost. Young men especially are lost. So we have a responsibility, my friend.
I'm ready, bro.
But before we end,
yeah,
top 3 rappers. Come on.
Top 3 current rappers?
Yeah.
Okay. So I already said, I think for his body of work, Drake's on there. Okay. Do you know Russ?
The British one?
No, he's not British. Russ. You've definitely heard some of his songs.
God.
He's insane.
Jeremy.
No, his lyrics, bro. If you listen to Russ, you're gonna be like, holy shit, he's unbelievable. So I think it's Drake, Russ, and my third, dude. I really think, I know he's like not in his prime anymore, but Lil Wayne, bro. Like
I thought you were gonna say Lil Pump.
Lil-
After all of this list, okay. Lil Wayne was amazing. I was never a huge fan, but he's amazing.
he's still so young too. He's in his 40s. Like
Drake's work, right? You're actually onto something with that. There's very few people who've ever done something like that. But for me, it's about the poetry. It's about the meaning. For me, it's like Eminem is so talented it hurts. Like Eminem is
also
possibly
supporting
the most
Kamala
talented.
Harris.
He was
paid a couple $1 million to support Kamala
Damn
Harris.
it. Apart from that,
Yeah.
Eminem is probably the
Politics
most
aside.
talented rapper ever. For me, Tupac,
Okay,
just a poet.
Okay, so they don't have to be living then.
They don't. Oh, yeah, Nachon. Yeah. Oh, it's the first time I used the Hebrew word accidentally this whole episode. Tupac, and favorite for me, 50 Cent.
Oh my God, 50 Cent's fire.
Because he's just a real G. My guy got shot 9 times.
So
And,
I'm in alignment with 50 Cent. And I got shit flying from my hair. Drake for sure. Dude, listen to more Russ. I guarantee your mind will change. Like talking about lyrics, this dude is fucking one of the GOATs for sure. My man, thank you for coming on, bro.
Man.
This is fucking amazing.
pleasure.
Guys, make
What
sure to
an
follow
episode.
Sammy. Tag us in your stories. Let us know which part of the podcast impacted you the most. Much love. Peace out. Let's get it. You did it. You made it to the end of the show. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your support in listening to this podcast. And really, my mission here is to deliver the best conversations, the best people, so you can continue elevating and becoming the best version of yourself. And all that I ask in return is that you actually take action on the things that we talk about in these conversations, whether it's certain habits to implement or certain thought patterns or belief systems that you want to reprogram and remove from your life. I just want to remind you that your life is your gift and you are the creator. You are the main character of your movie. So please take action on these things we discuss. And tag me on social media. Tag me on Instagram in your stories at Jeremy Awakens. Let me know what stood out the most to you. Let me know what were some powerful moments for you from this conversation. And finally, if you haven't already done so, it would mean the world if you left a review for the podcast. Word of mouth is our oxygen. This is what allows us to reach more people and impact more lives. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you next time.